Hi, you know that weird feeling? When you stare at a blank map and roads start laying themselves out in your head, residential zones get carved out, and factories start humming. That's our inner architect/dictator demanding control. This year, fans of the genre are definitely spoiled for choice. Today, we're diving into the biggest releases and most intriguing projects currently gearing up to take over our hard drives. Welcome to the future we build ourselves. Nova Roma. Let's kick things off with a game many have been waiting for as the spiritual successor to the legendary Caesar, but with a modern twist. Nova Roma comes from the creators of Kingdoms and Castles, and you can immediately tell by the cozy yet detailed art style. You start with a small settlement on a riverbank and have to transform it into a glowing Roman metropolis. But it's not just about placing houses. You'll have to literally fight the terrain, appease fickle gods, and make sure fresh water is always flowing to your bathhouses. The big hook here is the actual water physics. It's not just for show. You need to build complex systems of aqueducts and dams. One math error and your elite district gets washed away by the next flood. And if that's not enough, there's political intrigue and the whims of the gods. If Jupiter wakes up on the wrong side of the bed, expect thunderstorms or droughts. You'll be balancing more than just taxes and expenses. You'll be balancing faith and common sense. Laysara, Summit Kingdom. If you thought building cities on flat ground was tough, Laysara will make you rethink everything. Your only living space here is the slopes of giant mountains. The entire gameplay revolves around verticality. You're not building logistics chains outward, but upward, using lifts, bridges, and ingenious conveyors. Every resource has to be hauled to the summit, accounting for the different mountain tiers, from lush forests at the base to icy cliffs in the clouds. Your main enemy isn't a neighboring kingdom, it's nature itself. An avalanche isn't just a cool animation, it's a disaster that can wipe out half your city if you didn't build barriers or plant a forest shield in time. Visually, the game is stunning. When you zoom out and see your tiny monastery against the backdrop of a massive peak, it's truly breathtaking. Crown of Greed. Now, here's a project for everyone who missed classics like Majesty. Crown of Greed is a city builder with indirect control elements, wrapped in dark Slavic folklore. You play as the ruler of Rodovia, but your subjects are proud and stubborn. You can't just click a warrior and send him to kill a monster. Instead, you post a bounty, and if the reward is fat enough, some mercenary or hero might actually leave their ale at the tavern and go do something heroic. The world is soaked in a dark fantasy vibe. You'll be building your kingdom literally on bones, facing basilisks and other legendary creatures. The economy is driven by taxes you squeeze out of your people, only to spend that same gold on motivating them. The heroes aren't just units, they're personalities with their own traits. Some are greedy, some are cowards, and some might just drink your gold away at the local pub instead of guarding the border. City Tales Medieval Era. If you're tired of sterile cities built on a perfect grid, City Tales is exactly what you need. The main feature here is organic growth. You don't just place boxy houses. You watch your settlement transform into a living medieval town where streets wind naturally and citizens trample paths wherever it's most convenient for them. Gameplay is centered around the needs of your people, and these aren't just dry numbers in a menu. Every citizen is an individual with their own schedule and ambitions. You have to build smart production chains so the blacksmith isn't sitting around without coal and the tavern isn't empty at night. The seasons are a standout. Winter isn't just a white filter on the screen, it's a real survival test you prepare for all summer, stocking up on wood and food. Recent 2026 updates brought an advanced diplomacy and trade system, so you no longer live in a vacuum. You can become a trade hub and dictate terms to your neighbors or focus on turning your castle into an impenetrable citadel. Modulus, factory automation. Now, let's swap cozy huts for steel, conveyors, and the endless hum of machinery. Modulus is a paradise for those who live for order and optimization. Unlike its competitors, this game bets on a minimalist, almost architectural style and incredible modularity. You start with one tiny drill on a desert planet, and 10 hours later, your base is a massive, perfectly tuned machine where thousands of parts move in unison. As the name suggests, the core mechanic is modules. You design the internal layout of your factories yourself, combining blocks for peak efficiency. There's no tedious micromanagement here, but there is deep logistics and that incredibly satisfying feeling when a complex production chain finally fires up without a hitch. If you're the type of person who gets a kick out of perfectly laid pipes and conveyor belts, Modulus is your personal brand of digital bliss. Repterra. While the previous games were all about creation and chill vibes, Repterra is about constant stress and fighting for every second of your life. Think of it as a mix between a classic city builder and a hardcore tower defense. You land on a hostile planet covered in an organic blight that is literally trying to eat you. Your job is to build a colony, extract resources, and, most importantly, survive the endless waves of mutants emerging from the fog. In Repterra, just building strong walls isn't enough. The environment is constantly shifting. The infestation spreads across the map, taking over your buildings and poisoning the land. You'll have to constantly maneuver, relocating entire districts and burning out enemy nests just to expand your living space. It's a game of tough choices. Do you spend resources on a new mine or build another line of automated turrets? One wrong move and your base will be in ruins within minutes. Desynced. If you thought everything in the automation genre had already been done, Desynced is here to prove you wrong. Forget the endless conveyor belts that turn your base into a plate of spaghetti. Here, everything is about the bots. This isn't just a city builder, it's a true logistics sandbox where you don't build roads, but rather program the behavior of your drones. Visually, the game looks like a sterile, high-tech future where every move is backed by the cold calculation of an AI. But don't think this will be a walk in the park. The world is full of surprises, and your perfect bot network can collapse in an instant if you don't account for defense or power shortages. Desynced is for the players who love spending 3 hours obsessing over a schematic just to spend 5 minutes watching it run perfectly. ShantyTown is probably the most unique and emotional city builder in years. You aren't some mayor in an expensive suit building skyscrapers here. You're a community leader in the slums, where every scrap of metal and every gallon of clean water counts. It's a survival game set in conditions of extreme poverty and social injustice. Your goal is to turn a chaotic pile of shacks into something livable using literal trash and whatever you can trade for on the black market. The buildings grow organically, and you have to balance the needs of your people against pressure from both the authorities and criminal gangs. The visual style is stunningly detailed. The rust, the graffiti, the laundry hanging between houses. It all creates a thick, immersive favela atmosphere. In recent updates, the devs added dynamic weather, so now a tropical downpour can become a real disaster, washing away your flimsy structures. Metropolis 1998. For those of you who still tear up thinking about the original SimCity or Transport Tycoon, Metropolis is going to be a total gift. At first glance, it looks like a classic 90s isometric city builder, but don't let the pixels fool you. You aren't just zoning land, you can go inside any building and see how the residents live, right down to the furniture layout in their apartments. The hook here is that every resident isn't just a statistic. They're a full agent with their own needs, jobs, and schedules. The traffic is simulated realistically, so you can spend hours tweaking a single intersection just to clear up a gridlock. You can even draw your own building sprites or design custom interiors for diners and offices. The game promises to give you the tools to build your dream city exactly how you remember it from the old days, but without the technical limitations of 30 years ago. Ant Colony, Wild Forest. Forget skyscrapers and asphalt, it's time to get down in the grass. Ant Colony is an ambitious project where you build not just a city, but a perfect biological state. You take on the role of the colony's hive mind in a wild forest. The devs are promising more than just a strategy game. It's a deep ecosystem where every one of your subjects is a gear in a massive living machine. The game is currently in active development, and judging by the devlogs, the level of microworld detail is insane, from digging complex tunnels to farming aphids, which basically act as your livestock. The ultimate challenge here is surviving a world where a simple rainstorm turns into a global flood and a stray stag beetle can level half of your residential block. You'll need to manage roles carefully. Some ants scout for sugar, others guard the entrances, and some tend to the larvae. The creators are putting a huge emphasis on the pheromone system. You literally lay down chemical trails to manage the flow of your workers. Hearth and Hamlet. If you feel like modern city builders are missing a bit of soul and human warmth, Hearth and Hamlet is being made just for you. This isn't a game about massive conquests. It's about creating a cozy medieval village where every resident is a friendly neighbor. It's not just about building a mill. It's about making sure the miller has a roof over his head, a happy family, and a reason to show up for the harvest festival. The game is still in development, but its cozy city builder concept has already built up a pretty solid community. The main draw here is the focus on the little details of daily life. You literally design every house. The devs are also promising a generational system. You'll watch the children of your first settlers grow up, learn their father's trades, and build their own homes nearby. Visually, the game looks like a storybook illustration come to life. Soft lighting, lots of wood, and lush greenery. Even though it's not out yet, the developers are actively engaging with fans and implementing community ideas for building customization. Drownlight. Now, this project will literally take your breath away. Drownlight is a survival city builder set in a world that's gone completely underwater. You lead a group of survivors trying to build a new civilization on the ocean floor. Forget about sunlight. Your main resources here are oxygen and bioluminescence. The game is currently in development, and judging by the early footage, we're in for an incredibly atmospheric and occasionally terrifying journey into the abyss. Construction happens in 3 dimensions. You'll build pressurized modules, connect them with deep-sea tunnels, and battle the crushing weight of the ocean. Every building has to be more than just functional. It has to be sturdy, because even a tiny crack could turn your base into a watery grave. The devs are also implementing a complex energy management system. You'll have to decide whether to light up the residential sector or sink that precious electricity into bioluminescent algae farms. Mandate Order. This project aims to take medieval city management into the realm of high-stakes politics. We're used to building barns and smithies, but here the devs are cooking up something bigger, the mandate system. You aren't just an architect, you're a full-on sovereign whose decrees can lead to prosperity or spark a bloody riot. It's currently in active development, and the team is busy polishing the faction mechanics to make sure every decision you make gets a real reaction from your subjects. Based on the early teasers, we can expect a very gritty and realistic art style. The entire gameplay loop is built on the balance between construction and holding on to power. With deep diplomacy and a complex economy promised, Mandate Order is definitely aiming for the top of the most anticipated hardcore strategy lists this year. Wild West Pioneers. If you've ever dreamed of founding your own frontier, keep a close eye on Wild West Pioneers. The game promises a massive adventure. You start with a lone wagon on the prairie and have to turn it into a bustling gold rush town. The developers are doubling down on logistics and survival in the wild. We're also getting a detailed needs system for the settlers, where every cowboy is an individual with their own standards, right down to the quality of the whiskey at the local saloon. The project is still in production, but its ambition is already impressive. They're working on dynamic weather that can level your whole town with a single tornado, along with a defense system to handle bandit raids. Your main goal in the upcoming game isn't just expanding your borders, but creating a self-sustaining ecosystem in a hostile land. Resilient. This survival city builder is shaping up to be one of the most atmospheric sci-fi titles out there. You're dropped onto a planet after a global cataclysm where the environment itself is trying to wipe out what's left of humanity. The devs are adding a killer feature called adaptive architecture. According to the devlogs, we'll be able to build modular structures that literally transform to withstand toxic storms or extreme temperature swings. Right now, the game looks like a very stylish, dark, rising from the ashes type of project. You'll have to send expeditions into dangerous zones to scavenge ancient tech just to give your colonists a fighting chance. It won't be a walk in the park. The devs say resources will be tight until the very end. If you love that high-tension Frostpunk vibe but want it in a futuristic setting, Resilient is the long-term project that absolutely belongs on your wishlist. Citystate Metropolis. If you've always felt that standard city builders are a bit too simple when it comes to politics, then Citystate Metropolis is definitely the one to watch. The solo dev behind the previous games is aiming for a true next-gen leap for the series. We're still waiting on the release, but we already know the game will offer an unprecedented level of control over the economy and legislation. You aren't just building a city, you're building an entire city-state where every decision, from luxury taxes to migration policy, drastically changes the look of your neighborhoods and your demographics. The big shift this time around is the move to full 3D and a massive metropolis scale. The developers are promising that we'll be able to build truly gargantuan cities with deep social class simulation. Tropico 7. El Presidente is back. Tropico 7, the latest entry in this legendary series, is currently in development, and it's easily one of the biggest announcements in the genre. While the studio is keeping most details under wraps, it's already clear we're getting an updated engine and even sharper humor. Once again, we'll take control of a tropical island, balancing the interests of global superpowers against the whims of our own people. The devs are promising more palace customization and a much deeper, more personal way to interact with your citizens. You'll progress from colonial times into a futuristic tomorrow, laundering money and building tourist resorts along the way. Corsair Cove. Now, this project is a real dark horse for pirate fans. Corsair Cove is a pirate haven builder set during the golden age of sail. The core idea is to turn a tiny cove into an impenetrable capital for buccaneers. You'll need to build shipyards and taverns, but you'll also have to manage the loot carefully so your captains don't start a mutiny. It's a unique mix of city building and running a Caribbean criminal syndicate. The developers are putting a huge emphasis on stealth and defense. Your town needs to stay hidden from the great navies until you're strong enough to face them. Based on the devlogs, expect a cool rating system where your building resources are literally stolen from merchant convoys. Highland Keep offers a gritty medieval experience where your biggest enemy isn't a rival army, but verticality itself. The devs are betting big on high-altitude construction. You'll be building impenetrable castles and villages on narrow cliffs and snowy peaks. While the project is still in production, the team is already showing off the logistics system. Delivering stone or food to a mountaintop will be a puzzle in itself, requiring complex winch systems and dangerous mountain trails. The game promises to be very atmospheric and planning-heavy. According to the dev diaries, Highland Keep will feature a complex weather system. A sudden blizzard could cut off parts of your settlement from your warehouses, or an avalanche could wipe out a poorly placed tower. City Masterplan. If you're the type of person who can spend hours fine-tuning a single intersection, City Masterplan belongs at the top of your list. This project is positioning itself as the most detailed urban planning simulator yet. The standout feature the devs are currently perfecting is Blueprint Mode. You design entire districts first, factoring in underground utilities, traffic flow, and building influence zones before you ever start construction. It's the level of control we've been craving in modern city builders. The team is also promising advanced AI for pedestrians and traffic that reacts realistically to any changes in the urban environment. Visually, the game is aiming for photorealism, letting us build modern metropolises with incredible clarity and detail. Life below. This project takes the genre deep underground. In this world, the surface has become uninhabitable, and it's up to you to lead the construction of a massive subterranean bunker city. The developers are focusing heavily on survival in confined spaces. You'll have to balance oxygen levels, temperature, and the extraction of rare minerals. The game is currently in active development, with a major emphasis on vertical shaft expansion and exploring the dark depths in search of resources. Judging by the first concept art and short teasers, we're in for an unsettling and claustrophobic atmosphere, where every meter of tunnel you dig could hide a new danger, from groundwater breaches to cave-ins. The devs are promising a complex tech tree that allows you to build everything from hydroponic farms to massive geothermal power plants. County of Fortune. This is an ambitious project aiming for that hyper-detailed medieval simulator niche. The developers are building a game where every resident isn't just a statistic, but a full participant in the economy with their own life plans. The project is still in production, and the big draw here is the realistic production system. If you want to build a wagon, you actually have to harvest the wood, forge the iron rims, and find a master craftsman to put it all together. Visually, the game leans into historical realism, offering a very cozy and vibrant aesthetic. The authors are promising a complex seasonal system and a dynamic economy that reacts to your every move. If you're looking for a city builder where you can truly get lost in the details of daily life and logistics, County of Fortune definitely belongs on your wishlist. Fantastic Haven. If you're tired of building cities for boring humans, Fantastic Haven offers something completely different. In this upcoming project, you aren't just building a settlement, you're creating a sanctuary for magical creatures. As the world slowly loses its magic, your job is to build a safe haven where griffins, dragons, and other legendary beasts can survive. The devs are promising a blend of classic city building and deep ecosystem management where you'll have to balance the needs of multiple species. You won't just be building aviaries and housing for mages. You'll also have to convince regular humans that living next to magical beasts isn't a threat. It's shaping up to be a wholesome yet complex strategy game about creation and conservation. Fantastic Haven looks like a breath of fresh air for anyone craving that fantasy aesthetic in a serious strategy game. So the list is out and the blueprints are ready. Now all that's left is for you to decide which of these worlds you're going to skip breakfast, lunch, and dinner for. Get out there and start building. Those empty maps aren't going to fill themselves. I'll see you next quarter, Mayor. Assuming, of course, we finish that road on time. The Image Game Channel was with you. Have a nice day.